Welcome to Sports Tonight Live presents The Cage. We've got a great show for you today. Today we're going to talk all about grassroots MMA. I've got some great promoters in the studio as my guests. We're going to talk about what it takes to put a show together, all the moving parts that we don't necessarily see, and how to bring it all to your entertainment. So my first guest tonight, I've got Mark Wartime Carling. Mark, good to see you. Glad you're here.
How you doing, Bret? Thanks for having me on the show.
Pleasure. And I've got Adam Tay, certainly the youngest promoter, maybe in the world, but certainly in the UK. Really, really glad you're here as well.
Pleasure to be here, Bret.
And rejoined by my co-host, we really missed you last week, Mr. 48, Brad Wharton. Glad you're back as well.
Good to be back off sick bed.
Yeah. So Adam, let's talk a bit about your promotion. As I said, you're really young to be in this game, and to put together a promotion the way you have, and to kind of hit the ground running, so to speak. I think it's fantastic. You've been doing really, really good things already. So when was your first show?
We had our first show back in November. It's really snowballed from that, really. I think the trick was having well-matched fights, and initially it was all down to a couple of sponsors who gave us a bit of money to get the ball rolling and get the show up the ground. We had Brad come down. I don't know what you thought about it, Brad.
Fantastic. I was genuinely shocked that it was Adam's first show when I got there. You know, I was told about the show, first time effort sort of thing. You know, we have a mutual friend that sort of introduced us, and I went down, and I was really blown away by the quality of it and the professionalism as well.
You don't expect too much when you go into somebody's first effort, but
exactly.
Yeah, and you turn up and it's professional and it's slick. And I wasn't there, but I've heard nothing but good things about your show. And your next one's coming up too, isn't it? And when's your next show?
The next show is on the 17th of March. That's in Bury, Greater Manchester. We've got around 17, 18 fights on there again, so we've got quite a big card. We've got some really exciting fights. We've got some quite good clubs on board as well. Shootbox, Aaron Wilkinson's gym, Daywalkers, Dan Gibbons' gym, Gorilla's gym. So we've got quite a lot of clubs and different clubs from around the UK all coming up, which is exciting. I'm really looking forward to it as well. Yeah,
me too. I think it's going to be really good. In fact, we've got a clip from your show, promotion. So let's roll the VT and have a look at FCC. Yeah, really good promo, especially for your first effort, man. Really well done.
Thanks very much, man.
Yeah, really nicely shot. As a young promoter, what are some of the challenges that we were talking earlier before the show about fight cards and how things change the last minute, but what are some of the challenges that you face when you're putting together a show?
Well, I think generally with the fight card, like I'm sure as any promoter will tell you, it's constantly changing. You've got to deal with last minute dropouts, injuries. So generally what I try and do is try and set 20 fights, because I know within the last 2 weeks I'm going to get 5 drop out. So at least I know I've got 15 decent quality fights on there, which people don't mind paying to see. We have, like, as I say, we have a full fight card. We have Ruby Planson, who's the world freestyle martial artist. She comes on and does a demo.
Yeah, I know Ruby. She's brilliant, isn't she?
She's incredible. Yeah. And we do, like, like I said, it's generally to try and help promote the amateur division and like provide a platform for them really to go on to bigger shows, but still have a show where they're able to compete on in a safe and professional manner really. And saying safety is the main concern for us, especially at the amateur level.
Sure. And Mark, we're going to come to your promotion in a minute, but you've been exactly where Adam is. So as you're looking at putting together shows, some of the challenges and things that you face as well.
Yeah, I mean, like Adam said, always the fight card. The fight card will change, and I guarantee you, last minute, that is the worst part. All of a sudden, your fight card's matched, the venue's booked, you've got everything you need. You've got your medical staff, you've got your superstar MCs, you've got the team ready, and then you get the pull-out, the phone call. Hello, Mark, I can't make it. Oh, I've broken my leg. Oh, brilliant. Bang. And that is when the real test of a promoter comes out, isn't it? You have to go through that phone directory. You were there. You've got to hustle up that fair fight, and it's hard. But once you make it, the show goes well, doesn't it?
That's it.
I think I was with you one night, Mark, when it was 1 or 2 days before the show and you lost your main event and had to put it back together.
Yeah.
And hats off to you guys that promote. I couldn't promote in a million. That's why I make my living behind the mic, because I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
too much pressure.
I'm very happy sat talking about it on the laptop. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure Mark will agree, though. That's what keeps it exciting, though, doesn't it? You constantly, things are changing, it's constantly evolving.
I tell you what, the biggest curse is putting someone on the poster. As soon as on that poster, I don't know what it is. The voodoo god comes out. You know they're all going to get afflicted with illness and pain and disease.
You know how to avoid that. Put Hollywood on your poster.
No, then you'll die and then I'll be ruined.
So let's just say, Mitchell Richards, please don't hurt yourself before
That's
this one
it,
comes out.
Yeah, we've got a full billboard for Mitchell Richards on this one. So I mean, that guy will fight with one arm. He's the type of he's the type of guy.
You're calling the one-arm band. Isn't it?
So how do you promote your event? So you've got this event coming up. Obviously, you want to sell tickets. Certainly within, we're all about grassroots today, and certainly within the grassroots environment, you sort of depend on your fighters to promote the show. You depend on your fighters to sell tickets. But what sort of other, we were talking earlier about sponsorship and other opportunities. So as a young guy, how are you looking to kind of get your name out there and get your show out there?
I don't think you can neglect things like Twitter and Facebook. They're just great advertising tools, even for getting fighters and promoting your events. For me, who's got quite a small budget, it's vital for me to push it out through there. Like I said, this time we've invested in a massive movie premiere screen billboard. That'll be going up on the 5th of March.
Outstanding.
And again, like I said, just by inviting down the journalists like MMA Bay, Robert Riley at the Fight Lounge, we've got Bret MMA, Addicted MMA. Them guys come down. We put them right cage side so they can obviously get a grasp of the atmosphere, which sometimes you can't get when you're not there live. And just through that, really, it's snowballed.
I think that's really important. The atmosphere is particularly when you're talking about bringing guys down, sitting them say cage side. I've talked to a lot of journalists that have been cage side at big, massive events, and the atmosphere is not quite there. And it kind of changes their mindset, doesn't it? Whereas even if you go, you probably know this better than anybody, Brad. If you go to a small show in a nightclub somewhere with 400 people and it's packed and the audience is pumped and the music's loud, and it changes your opinion, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that was one of the things that Adam got really right at his first show. The venue was just a perfect size for the amount of people that were in there. The atmosphere was fantastic. Obviously, with it being an amateur show, you've got a lot of people bringing friends and family. So there's a really good competitive atmosphere. No trouble, everyone was there to have a good time, and personally, I was sat at cage side commentating, so trying to focus on work and what was going on in the cage, but the atmosphere lifts you, and I think it helps you when you commentate and when you've got that big crowd behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark, you get this down in your shows as well. The atmosphere at your shows are fantastic.
UCMMA Contenders, we've done 2 in Brighton, both in a 1,000 capacity place, sold it out every time good. It's lively, people like it, there's a lot of standing, it's good. The next one we're doing Woking, which is actually this Sunday, but Jeremy Bailey headlining it. It's a mainly standing show again. But the nightclub shows are great. People do love them. On June 2nd, we're going to Scotland. We've got the Ice Arena. We've got a 3,500 capacity. The first table show I've ever done. And you know what? It's different. It's got a different vibe to it. So we've really had to logistically work on what we're going to do.
Yeah.
The nightclub.
That's a whole different scale, isn't it? And you've done well working. We both work with Dave and creating this Contenders brand as sort of a feeder show, for lack of a better term, to get up-and-coming fighters some experience before they kind of get to the big show. But now, all of a sudden, you're becoming a big show.
The whole idea of UCMMA Contenders, Dave O'Donnell is the best in the business in the UK. It's undisputed. Dave trained me. I was lucky enough. I came up with a plan, went to the man. The man rocks the charts. You want to sell out an arena, you ask Dave O'Donnell how to do it. The chips are down, you're stuck, you ask Dave O'Donnell how to do it.
Yeah.
With Dave guiding me and my drive, I think we're going to go a long way.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. And we've got a promo from UCMMA Contenders as well, so let's take a look at that.
To be the best, you must face the best. Evoke the spirit of the warrior and stand as mortal amongst the gods. Prepare yourself in body and in mind. Take to the greatest stage and face the ultimate challenge. Wartime is proud to bring you UCMMA Contenders.
I love that promo. That promo just, it gets me pumped and I'm ready to watch a fight.
The music gets
Get up
me
and get
going
to
as
it.
well.
Yeah. So with the Contenders brand, you know, we talked about your involvement with Dave, and he's kind of been guiding you, but I mean, really, he gives you advice, and then it's all up to you, and I think you've done fantastic things.
I'm lucky Dave trusts me. I mean, I've done a lot with Dave, and it's no secret as well. Dave was like my hero from watching him on Nuts TV. I got to meet my hero, and now I get to go and hang out with all of my heroes, and it's awesome. I've got the best job in the world. When you follow me on Twitter, right, _wartime_, right,
Nice.
you can guarantee that you'll see every so often, I love my job. I'm always tweeting about all the fun, exciting things I get to do. You know, like, I'm flying away to Jersey for Rumble on the Rock. It's at Cage Side. I'm taking Tony Giles with me. He's also headlining the June 2nd show. You know, Tony's just about to hit superstardom off the back of My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding. And so now he's coming from a bare knuckle, a background of violence into a true athlete. You know, and it's good. I get to do all these cool things. You know, I had John Hathaway with me the other day down at UCMMA Contenders Brighton. I was like, hi John. I was blown away. It's like,
It's not a bad game to be in, is it?
it's a very, very good game to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's obviously one of my favorite parts is being able to. I was at another show this weekend, got to introduce Gunnar Nelson, got to sit cage side, watch him fight. Just fantastic. I think you watched that fight on YouTube, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a fantastic fight.
Yeah, I mean, you get to see all these guys, and yeah, guys that typically we watch on TV, and I say, oh, you know, Dan Hardy, Paul Daly, any of those guys, Brad Pickett, you know. Get to watch these guys, you get to sit cage side, announce these guys. Sometimes I get to go train with these guys. Yeah, best job in the world. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to see these guys on TV and to watch them, like for me, John Maguire, I love that guy. He is awesome. He's hilarious. You know, you talk to him, you spend time with him, you want to spend more time with him, and then you watch the guy fight, and straight afterwards, he's a gentleman before, he's a gentleman afterwards, he's great for the fans. He should be more of a poster boy for this country, you know.
Yeah.
We should push him. He's the sort of guy that's, you know, he's got everything going for him. He's got a one-way ticket to the top. He's a tiny welterweight, and he's still destroying the division. You know, these are guys, you know, you're talking to him, you go, oh yeah, so what have you been up to today? He goes, oh, eating donuts.
Yeah,
Well, exactly.
Krispy Kremes, man.
Well, and I think that the position that you guys are in, and Adam, I'm sure you've got guys on your show that you're kind of watching, and you know they're destined for superstardom. And,
Of course, yeah.
you know, I've seen a lot of these guys fight on, you know, small grassroots shows, and then the next thing, you know, they start to make noise. Corey Tate, you know, I saw him on a KO MMA show, little local show in Watford. And, you know, I called Dave and said, Dave, you got to take a look at this guy. And, you know, all of a sudden, and I think he's going to be the next big thing. And I think you've probably got a lot of guys on your shows that
We've
you're
got
watching
one
as
young lad at the minute, Callum Brady, fights out of shoot box. This kid, he's only had 2 fights, but he's so confident in his ground game, and he's just working in his stand-up. He's going semi-pro for his first fight on March the 17th, but he's definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah.
And Paddy Pimblett from Next Generation, I think he's 7-0. Amateur, he's only 17. You look at him and you won't think he's a fighter, but he's BJJ. Paul Rimmer's doing something right down there at Next Gen, because they've got Chris Fishgold, Danny Roberts, all with pretty much perfect records, 5-0, 8-0, and it's for this lad Paddy Pimblett just to be that young and to be that confident in what he's doing. It's great, and he can only do wonders for the sport. He's definitely one to look out for. Yeah.
Well, we're going to go to a break, but I want to talk more about this when we come back, because I think the one thing that some promoters do really, really right, and when you see the big shows and the shows that people like to go to, is they build superstars, and you know, not only promoting the show, but promoting the individual fighters. Some shows maybe don't do that so well, and sometimes I think maybe the shows suffer because of that.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to have more chat with Wartime, with Adam Tay, with Brad. We're going to talk a bit more about grassroots MMA, talk a bit more about the UFC, and look at what happened last weekend. So join us when we come back from the break on Sports Tonight Live presents The Cage.
I'm Alex Reed, and you're watching The Cage. It's go time!
Did he just steal my line?
I think he
Alex
did.
just steal my line? Thanks, Alex. Welcome back to Sports Tonight Live presents The Cage. Today we're talking all about grassroots MMA. I've got great guests. I've got Mark Wartime Carling. I've got Adam Tay. We're talking all about your promotions. Before the break, we were talking about sort of what it takes to take a promotion to the next level. And I think across the organizations that I work for, I see some that invest in their fighters and make their fighters kind of superstars, and some not so much. And I seem to think that the ones that are promoting their fighters, pushing their fighters, and making those superstars are the ones that are really, really doing well. And what are you guys' thoughts on that? Adam, what do you think about that?
I think it's all about treating your fighters fairly, really. I mean, even at the amateur level, we still pay our fighters because they've got to travel there. We try and get them supplement sponsors as well through Intelligent Nutrition. Anything that we can really do to make it worthwhile for them to come in on, still while improving their amateur game kind of thing. Yeah. But I think generally, like I said, it's just you've got to treat the fighters right first and foremost, really, and that they're willing to come back and fight again on your next show, which we found, like, for this next show, we had that many fighters wanting to come on. It's a great feeling to know that we're actually making some progress within the UK scene.
Well, it makes your fight card a lot easier too, doesn't it?
It does. It makes matching a lot easier when guys are willing to come forward. But I think as well, if they know they're going to be treated fairly and they're in safe hands, then why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark, I mean, you Wartime, you're a pretty media savvy guy anyway. So you sort of bring that element to your show, I think, and to the fighters as well.
I bring the showy to my show. Let's just get this started, right? Our show, it's like WWE threw up all over Ultimate Challenge. Okay? We've got the Fight Master involved. I mean, if anyone comes down, they will see it. I love the show. You know, you could have an epileptic fit cage side. There's so many strobes going off. Right? The fights are so fast. You know, I match the fights. You know, obviously you've got to match the record, the skill. But I will sit there and think, do you know what? That guy will stand and bang. That guy will stand and bang. And I'm like, I'm putting this on. One of the guys, I was prepping a guy called Arnold Allen. Now he's just going up against Nathan Gleason. These two guys. You know, obviously Nathan, Jimmy's young lad. Now Arnold Allen, Jack Mason's young lad. Arnie came on to UCMMA Contenders and fought an incredibly hard fight against a guy called Aftab Mir. He got the win, right, which a lot of people were shocked about. He came in about 2 kilos lighter as well. It was a war. And now Dave's got him on UCMMA. You guys will be blown away. And this is what we're trying to do. You know, like you said, we're trying to find the grassroots guys, push them forward and say, this is your next champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of Dave's show, I just want to mention that he got a fantastic deal today. He's been working really, really hard. UCMMA DVDs now available at all fine retailers. I think that's brilliant. I think you know, one giant leap for UK MMA.
Yeah.
Once again, courtesy
I
of
want
Dave
to live.
O'Donnell.
I want to live in a world where I can go to Tesco's and buy my cage fighting DVDs and my baked beans at the same time.
You can now.
There we go.
Yeah,
You see.
Yeah. So yeah.
You're in that place.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So Dave, really well done. Congratulations from all of us here at the Cage. So let's move on. Big event in Japan this past weekend.
Huge
UFC
event.
Homecoming, wasn't it?
Huge event. 4 hours of UFC. I had to stay up till 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I was very, very tired on Sunday, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, we're only in February now, and I'm already thinking card of the year. UFC 144, top to bottom, absolutely fantastic. A couple of big takeaways from that. Hatsuki Yoki and Anthony Pettis both established themselves as #1 contenders in my eyes in their respective weight
Yoki,
divisions.
what a legend.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
yeah.
he came over to the UFC, he had a really difficult first fight. He didn't look like he transitioned to the cage very well, but Saturday night he really showed what it was all about. And he showed why a lot of people think he's the #2 featherweight in the world. So hopefully, you know, he's probably got maybe 1 or 2 more fights to go in the UFC, but hopefully he'll fight Jose Aldo at some point, because that will be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Tim Bosch as well, I know you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Possibly the best comeback I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He got taken down, pounded, mauled by a huge, huge middleweight, and then to come back like that, huge uppercuts from the clinch, knockout in the 3rd round. Absolutely fantastic, fairy tale stuff.
Yeah. Well, we were talking before the show, Mark, about you know, bringing guys to your corner, bringing the right guys to your corner, and in that fight, I mean, Bosch was just down, and his corner said, "Look, man, this is it. You either do it or you don't," and he just came out swinging. That was amazing.
Your cornermen, it's like having a 3rd hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the way I always describe it. They're seeing what you can't see, and they're telling you, you can be in the worst position, and you can think, this is it. It's nothing more. I'm going to give up. And you look over. I was getting choked out by Dan Shortman. There was 10 seconds left on the clock, and a good friend of mine, Jimmy Slice, was in my corner, and Jimmy screamed at the top of his voice, 10, 9, 8. And I literally, just as I was going to go, he had to release. That is a difference.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Main event.
What a fight. It seems that every other week we're here debating another contentious decision.
Yeah.
I watched the fight on Saturday night and I scored it for Ben Henderson. I agreed with the judges. Watched it again this morning, scored it for Frankie Edgar. I believe the first time I watched it, I scored the first 4 rounds alternately for Edgar Henderson, and then Henderson 3rd. This morning, I scored the first 3 for Edgar and the last 2 for Henderson. So it's another one of those fights where it's so close, it could have gone either way, and I don't think either guy would have had a lot to complain about. One of the big takeaways for me with that fight was how small Frankie Edgar looked compared to Ben Henderson.
Yeah.
That they looked like 1 or 2 weight classes apart. So, you know, for me, Edgar deserves a lot of props, even though he did come out on the losing end of the fight, just to hang in there with a guy that big and powerful.
And what do you think? Do you think Edgar should get a rematch?
It's a weird one. I mean, a part of me wants to see Frankie Edgar fight someone else, because the guy fought BJ Penn twice and then fought Gray Maynard twice.
And
and
he's had to give
Ben
rematches
Henderson
to
twice.
everyone, hasn't he?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you kind of think, well, A, it'd be fair for him to get an immediate rematch, but B, I kind of want to see him fight someone else. I'd really like to see him drop to 145, but I think that, you know, if the UFC offer him that rematch, the guy's pride will kick in and he'll want another crack at Ben Henderson, because it was so close.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of good fights for him at 145. I'd love to see him fight Jose Aldo. I'd love to see him fight someone like Dustin Poirier or the Korean Zombie, maybe. That'd be fantastic as well.
Yeah. You know, I read somebody tweeted, and I forget who it was, but somebody tweeted this week about how the WEC champions are ruling the UFC. And if you start to think through your mind about who came from the WEC over to the UFC, and I mean, they're just tearing it up, aren't
Chael Sonnen, Carlos Condit, Ben Henderson.
Exactly.
They're all there.
Yeah.
Anthony Pettis coming up at lightweight.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's quite interesting to see how they come over and just start to sort of take over. So what do you think about? I mean, the UFC back in Japan. I think there was a lot of question about how the UFC was going to play in Japan this time, and if it was going to be big, if it was going to be, you know, as big as Pride, and et cetera, et cetera. You know, I know Dana was a bit anti-Pride, and as Japan started to roll forward, and then he all of a sudden became really pro-Pride.
Yeah, wearing the Pride T-shirt.
Yeah. But I think they did well.
They did a very smart thing, which is that they partnered with a big media group called Dentsu, and they basically kind of bought the show from them, and then they sold off all the advertising rights, all the television rights, all the tickets and everything. So a very smart business decision there. You can't go into Japan as a Westerner and expect to do business. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a local promoter on your side. ONE FC, the big network of Asian promotions, they work with local promoters everywhere, just because that's how business is done over there. So very smart move from the UFC. They sold a lot of tickets, I think upwards of 10,000 to 14,000 tickets, which is huge. You know, they're only selling 6,000 to 7,000 in Vegas. So a profitable show probably for them. Yeah, it might not have made them a fortune, but as long as it's broke even, I think they'll go back.
Well, yeah, and I mean, make a statement in Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So you mentioned ONE FC. I got to say, I saw Lena Hart was signed.
Yes,
to ONE
the
FC.
screaming Pride lady.
So yeah,
we love her.
Lena, welcome back. I can't wait. Yeah, yeah. I think that's going to be brilliant. I think she's one of the best there's ever been.
She's just something else. I mean, you know, the new UFC game that came out, it's got a Pride mode in it, and when they were first developing that, they got a sound-alike for her. And there was such an uproar on all the forums and Twitter and Facebook from the fans that they actually fired the sound-alike and went and got Lena and got her to do the vocals. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be the same without her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we've got another big UFC event coming up this week. Another, I don't know how they keep doing it, but every card is better than the last.
Yeah.
Anything you're looking forward to in particular?
The flyweight tournament. I'm a big fan of the lower weight classes. We were just saying about how good the WEC is and how their champions are taking over. We've got this flyweight tournament coming up, the 2 semi-final bouts this weekend. We've got Ian McCall, Demetrius Johnson, Hiroshi Tani, who's the shootout champion from Japan, and Joseph Benavidez, former bantamweight dropping down. So that's going to be absolutely off the hook. You know, we might not be seeing as many knockouts, but the work rate from these guys is fantastic.
It makes for exciting shows,
yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Big Ollie Thompson making his UFC debut.
My man.
Going to be a cracker, so yeah, I want to send a shout out to Ollie. Good luck in the UFC this weekend.
Good luck, bro.
And obviously, Thiago Alves and Martin Kampmann in the main event. I mean, if you're a fan of MMA, you're going to love that fight.
That's going to be a banger, isn't it? Yeah.
You know someone's going to sleep. I mean, we were saying this on the way here, you know, Martin Kampmann's probably the more well-rounded of the fighters, but he just loves to get stuck in. And you know you're going to have an entertaining fight. His fight with Diego Sanchez was absolutely insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, I mean, and we keep getting these UFC cards week after week after week. I mean, we're spoiled for choice, aren't
This is the last one now. There's going to be a big break. There's actually UFC on Friday, Strikeforce on Saturday, and then we've got about a month before the next one. So we can recharge our batteries and then get ready for the next drive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, we're almost out of time, guys. It's been fantastic having you here. It's without guys like you, you know, we wouldn't have the promotions that we have today. So hats off to you, Adam. You're 26.
26, that's right, Bret.
Youngest promoter in the UK. Outstanding. You're doing really, really good things. Mark, I'm looking forward to working your show on Sunday.
Can I be the best-looking promoter in the UK?
I don't know, I get that one as well, Mark.
It was worth a punt, wasn't it? There we go.
That's right. What we do like to do at the end of the show, though, is provide you with the Hollywood limited edition It's Go Time t-shirt. Adam Tay.
Thank you very much, Bret.
Mark Wartime Carling. Welcome to the Hollywood Army.
Bret, my mum told me never to turn up empty-handed, so I've got you one here, the official full Contact Contender one for you there, mate.
Outstanding. I'm loving this.
You know,
Yo,
thank
Brad.
you very much.
Really
No
good.
worries. Sorry, Mark. I didn't realise you was coming on today.
So before we go, don't forget to follow us on Twitter @TheCageSTL. Really looking forward to the coming weeks where we've got some big plans, some big shows coming up. Make sure you keep tuning in, keep watching us. We're going to be making a network television debut as well. So stay tuned to @TheCageSTL for all the upcoming news. For Mark Wartime Carling, for Adam Tay, for Mr. 48 Brad Wharton, I'm Hollywood. It's not go time, but it's time to go. See you next week on Sports Tonight Live presents The Cage.
Stay ahead of the game with Sports Tonight Live. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search for Sports Tonight Live on Facebook and like our fan page. Follow Sports Tonight TV on Twitter and tweet us your thoughts and opinions. Sports Tonight Live, it's the platform for the fans.